structures that we see on the screen here, and as to why most meetings don't work in businesses, and how to change that. But as I said, we're going to focus in on the daily huddle and the weekly tactical today. But Jamie, just to kind of recap on the importance of having a meeting structure in place, what are some of the finer points that we need to remind ourselves as to why having these meetings is so important?
Yeah, I mean, there's some points there on the screen there, Brenton, but you know, a couple of them come to mind is even in terms of the daily huddle, just the amount of emails and text messages and other forms of communication that it would reduce would be phenomenal if we didn't catch up at least sort of, you know, every day. So, you know, the thing is, what I like to call about the meetings is it's sort of the pulse of the business, and I think Vern talks about that too to some extent. It's almost like the lifeblood or the pulse and the rhythm of the business. The faster the pulse and the faster the communication and overcoming those barriers, you know, the faster the right information will get to the right people. And not only that, it's a massive why is alignment. You know, like how do you get 5 or 7 people in a team aligned, and then say you've got multiple teams, and then, you know, like even senior client managers and executive team above that. The key to it is getting alignment and everyone on the same page. You know, what system are we using? We're using the system the right way. Are we using the right checklist? So there's so many benefits to the right, having the right meetings, and also running the meetings right. And I think it was Peter Drucker who said, you know, management is doing right things, but management is doing things right, and leadership is doing right things. So this is really about leadership, is going to your teams and saying, look, we haven't got this meeting. I think we need to have this meeting, and here's why. And then, you know, overcoming, people roll their eyes and say, oh, not another meeting. Well, the leadership, you'll instill these meetings for all the benefits that I've just said. And, you know, alignment saves time, it saves money, better service, everyone's kept in the loop, everyone's on the same page. You know, it goes on and on, the benefits.
Absolutely. And I think, as you mentioned there, about Peter Drucker and, you know, leadership versus management, this also comes back to one of the main principles from the E-Myth, Michael Gerber's book, which Ed and myself often refer to, but it's all about systemization. And if we create a system around each of these meeting structures, we increase the chances of them being implemented into the fabric of the business and into the culture. So
it also fits into the ethos, Brenton, that Ed always says, create extraordinary systems so that you don't need extraordinary people. And it just goes in alignment with that as well. Yeah,
absolutely. So let's dive into the daily huddle. And before we talk about some of the specifics, Jamie, I just want to get a bit of a feel from everyone listening in. Who is currently running a daily huddle with their team or teams on a daily basis at the moment in your firm? If you can say yes or no in the chat box, that would be great.
We should have 31 yeses.
I know, that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
So a few no's, a lot of yeses. Yes, but we need improvement from Craig.
The answers are coming through. It's great.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so a mixed bag there. So for all the yeses, what I'm hoping for you is that you're able to fine tune this process. For all the no's, they're going to be yeses by the end of next week. This is just so crucial, this daily huddle to your firm. And, you know, we've been watching firms implement this over the last 10 years. And it's seriously one of the things out of everything that we coach on, looking back, firms, you know, sit there and go, I don't know how we ran our business without this meeting structure in place beforehand. So, Jamie, let's talk about the daily huddle in the context of an accounting bookkeeping firm. Talk to us about the meeting format and then the importance of this meeting.
Yeah, well, I'm going to sort of probably give two different perspectives, post and pre-COVID. But before everyone was working from home, or even even beside that, for example, at our office, we really had 3 or 4 locations. We've got some of the marketing team in Sydney, we've got our offshore team in the Philippines, and then we've got the offices in Ballarat and Gisborne. So essentially, if you're in the same office, it's great to stand up to sort of bring a bit of urgency and I guess seriousness to the meeting, and not just sort of like everyone's sitting at the desk. So if you are in the office, I think it's a good thing if you can. And I've witnessed this other firms doing this, standing up, getting around and going around. The other thing is with Zoom and Teams and all that sort of thing, and multiple offices and different working remotely and working from home, then it's just a matter of obviously jumping in your scheduled time. And a really critical point, Brenton, to the system is to not sort of get bogged down in the technology. I've seen a lot of firms where they will probably share the screen, their job management system, but they sort of get bogged down in the technology side of it, because in this particular meeting, you really don't want it any longer than 15 minutes. And It's those classic 3 questions, which you've probably got on the slides here somewhere I've seen, and it's very quick, so each person needs to say, well, what am I working on? What are the list of jobs I'm working on, the top 6? Out of that top 6, what do I want to finish today? What is my metric? What is my goal for the day? And then what am I stuck on? It's 3 very basic questions. Now, in that process, the priorities will filter the top, because as we do, we always have Joan Smith rang up yesterday and they need their tax done because they need a loan, they're buying a business. Now, there's always, that allows for that priority to filter to the top, and everyone else in that team instantly knows that becomes a priority. This is the power of the daily huddle. So it's not meant to be long-winded discussions about how do I do this and some story about the client, how they had a flat tire and all that sort of stuff. We've seen all that. So whoever's chairing the meeting, Brenton, has to be a little bit ruthless. And so Brenton, your time's up. That's all we need to know, because you'll get people who try and sabotage the meeting, and then it ends up being half an hour. That's what it's not designed for. So whoever's leading the meeting needs to be quite articulate in making sure that people stick to the timeframes and they stick to the topic, and they don't, go off to the side, talking about other stuff. So it's essentially those 3 questions. What are my 6 top jobs that I'm working on? What am I going to get it done today? What do I need done today? It is about today. And then what am I stuck on? And it's like, Rex, I'm stuck on this. Can we catch up at our routine, catch up at 2 o'clock today to work out my queries?
So before we get into a few more of those specifics of the agenda, because I want to walk through step by step, so everyone's crystal clear on what each of the elements of this meeting is. We're often challenged on this meeting, Jamie, in terms of certainly the nature of accountants and bookkeepers. We're charging time. If we've got a team of 4 people and we're taking 15 minutes a day out of each person's time, that's an hour a day that we're not charging for over a year. That could be a few $1,000s. There is an argument to say that we're losing time here, and that the team could be charging out. But what's your normal response to that view on this meeting?
The normal response is it's just all the other communication that it cuts out, Brenton, and the lack of communication as well. I think it's not about perfection, it's about improvement. I spoke to a firm this morning from Canada, and they were sort of doing their daily huddle on Slack. Now, that was working for them, So as long as the system's efficient and it achieves the outcomes or the goals of the meeting, what are the outcomes? It's to remove blockages to production. It's making sure the main jobs get the priority that they deserve. So, I think a lot of this stuff, like Ed said, it's not an exact science, but providing you're doing it and you've got 80% of it right, and it works and achieves the goals, which is filtering the priorities to the top and ultimately servicing your clients. So, you know, while people might suddenly get hung up on the cost of having the daily huddle, consider the cost of not doing it, right? Mm-hmm. And the truth of that will be in your growth. It'll be in your net promoter score, and it'll be your ability to keep the clients and to win more. So, you know, it's just focus on the outputs. That is the critical thing. But if you don't have the daily huddle and things start falling down, well, you're going to know where to point the problem to. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay.